We can see the market has in fact dumped down on these bear flags across the board. XDC appears to be doing better than the rest of the market, but it's really just understanding the part of the formation it's in. And I know there's a lot of back and forth on XDC in the discussion over the last couple of days. What the hell is going on here? But we'll go into that. We'll get into a lot of the different charts here. We'll show the universal bear flags that are falling through. I don't see anything that changes anything that we've seen so far at all is validating it. We had that meltdown, or at least that wick exhaustion, and then we just fell right back down and double bottomed here. But aside from the market reversing, I don't think that at this time, unless we get some further evidence, and we're going to need some kind of confirmation getting over that 869. But we do have this death cross in the 4 hourly. So before you jump, make sure you get some confirmation over that 869 to make sure that it is in fact reversing this downward trend here for XDC. Because we still know it has a technical drop after that rising wedge in the initial part of this broke down. You know, we just had different layers. And 7.2 was the ultimate destination. So we'll see if it ends up getting down to the ultimate destination. XRP, we had this first drop around $2.85. It's come down to about 287. In real time, if you move this over, I think it's right around 285, probably still 284.62. That's the support. But as you can see, XRP, what we talked about in this morning's live was that we had that death cross that was about to form, and now it's formed. Then we got a rejection earlier today, maybe around somewhere around noon, that ultimate rejection when it started to pull back down again. Had one chance on this candle, but by the 12 o'clock candle, it had already pulled back down. Have this cross now. And out of these technical targets, you either had this drop down to this 285 area, which we're in right now, or this is going to bust this inverse head and shoulders pattern, and it's going to break down into likely that $2.50 range. Right now, if we fall below 284, we've got $2.78. And then after that, I don't see any other support in between $2.50. Like, we can talk about 262 again. But if we come all the way down here, I really don't think that it's going to come all the way down here just to stop, you know, at 272. I think it's going to come right to 250 most likely. If it breaks this pattern, for sure. I'd be stunned if it doesn't. And it makes a lot of sense to me because I feel like it did us a little disservice here because we've come close into this area, obviously, but we never came down into the lower ranges. That's why that 240, I keep saying 250, but it is actually 247. It's just a round number to make it easier to visualize that 250. But, like, you can talk about gap areas, but, like, 247 to 250, however you want to put it. We'll put it the lower of the two. No, I don't like to keep it higher when technically we could get lower. But yeah, I'm going to keep it in that general range. I think that $2.47 to $2.50 is exactly what we'd be looking at here if it breaks down. Now, if we want to get back on top of this for XRP, we're going to I keep saying the number 306, but it is imperative to get over that area. Because in time when we come back, it's probably going to be farther around here. This would be next Tuesday. Maybe it could rotate faster. But that's what you're looking at. You got to get over that downtrending resistance. You got to get over it. If we fall out of this layer, it's going to be rough. And we've talked about how mid-August, and the whole month of September by virtue is the most bearish month on average. When you average every single crypto month, September is the most bearish. That's not us saying it. We've said it for the last couple of weeks. That's actually what's going on. And some people say that's FUD, that's fear, uncertainty, doubt. No, it's not. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is giving information on things that don't exist. We have actual data to prove this. And now that we're into mid-August, is it any surprise we're rolling over right now? XRP's down 9% to start the week since the Sunday night candle opened. You know, there's a lot of others down 12 to 15% since the candle opened. I think Poly's down 9% today, but when it was up 6% yesterday, it's like, well, it's just doing this to come back. You know, so, and I've seen a lot of these inverse head and shoulders that are at the make it or break it, and some are starting to break it. So it's ultimately going to depend on if Bitcoin is going to hold this 112. This, remember, we had this area here where we could technically try to pull in reverse. Otherwise, that rising wedge is going to give up. And that's a technical target of like 81,000. So in my title today, I said XRP slides minus 9% to start the week, even though it's supposed to be start week. Slips below, and see the W flipped out to E. I love it. To $2.90. Ethereum drops below $4,150. Is Bitcoin going to 80K? And the reason why 4,150 is important is because we fell below that 4,170 easily. Very easily. Now it would seem to me the last place to go is going to be to come down here and retest this around 3,000. I mean, we could do 3,994, but again, if we're looking at like we did with XRP with little gapness, I still think that 3,941 is a great gap area. I understand we filled the CME gap, but I'm just saying a generalized gap that I see that we never came back down and revisited since the push up. We technically filled the Chicago Mercantile Exchange gap from a couple weeks ago now. But, you know, it was between 41 and 4,200, but technically did we come all the way to 4,100? We came close. Ultra close. I think we did. 4,113. So, a lot of stuff that we can see here. I mean, but that looks like a head and shoulders now. So, if it's a head and shoulders, we should clean this up and it should come down and at least reset. And that would be right around here. It'd be nice to reset in this breakout area and see what we have to do. If it clears out farther than that, and here's the problem, and you'll know. You'll know. I'm going to show you how you'll know. If alt season is canceled, you'll know this based on this. Right? You'll know. Because if this ends up doing something like this, alt season's canceled. And then you would get the neckline up, and that would be your sell point, and then it would just rotate back. That's how you would know we got played, and that we're early. So you'd have to pay very close attention if that scenario played out. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen. But I wouldn't put anything past the market maker. So I like to look at this in totality. It's funny, it blacked out my screen, and all the times I've ever done this, my screen never blacked out like that. But yeah, that's how you would know if something's going wrong. Because then you have a harsh breakdown, then you're getting rejected on the 200 while you simultaneously create that right shoulder, the third hump. Then you would just know. But until that happens, we're okay. So just pay attention to some of the dynamics we've already talked about here in the first 7 minutes or so. We came out hot out of the gate. We'll go through the others, the total 3 and the total crypto market cap during this live. And the others is all the alt tokens outside of the top 10. So you get rid of XRP, you get rid of Bitcoin, you get rid of Ethereum, you get rid of Solana, you get rid of Doge. You know, you get Chainlink is actually in there because it's number 11. You get rid of USDT, you get rid of some of the bigger, money movers, and then you see the real. So this is what's crazy. So if you do just all of cryptocurrency, you have 3.77 trillion. If you do all of cryptocurrency minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, it goes all the way down to 1.012 trillion. If you take out the top 10 alt tokens or cryptocurrency, because not just alt tokens out of it, but if you take the top 10 cryptocurrencies out, number 11, which still has Chainlink, all the way through the last token available, they only get $286 billion. They're getting 28% that the total 3 gets. They're getting about 7% roughly of what the entire. So all money that comes in, token 11 to infinity gets 7% of the market cap. If you spin it like that. The total 3 between Bitcoin and Ethereum, or everything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, on average gets about 35% of the market cap. Which tells you Bitcoin and Ethereum is eating up a rather large amount to start. Bitcoin still gets almost 60% of every dollar that comes in. for the crypto market. When you start putting it in perspective, it gets a little sloppy and scary, but puts it in perspective. So, of course it dumped it. But Eric Trump came out and said, buy the dip. Well, yeah, that's how you get exit liquidity. I've been telling people for years, you think these people really want, they're not going to just tell you to buy. They like to leave the breadcrumbs. I think this is where they get off when they tell people to buy and they're like, they really thought that we were going to tell them before a big move up. No, he told you to buy, and now Ethereum's down about 7% more. They need exit liquidity. It's only as valuable as the next guy who's willing to buy it. If we all stop buying every single token, it's going to get pretty dicey and hairy. Yep, 7 out of $100 goes to all of our goodies. That's so true. It is so friggin' true. And I understand, like, I was like, Julie, you know, sometimes I feel like I say a lot of stuff here before these drops and stuff, but everybody's got their own opinion. And, you know, it's like, all right, we watch XRP Future Millionaire. We see all the stuff that he's done in the past. But now in the moment when he says it, it's like, no, no, no. And she's like, well, that's because everybody else is hearing something different from everybody else. And they're saying it's going to do the opposite of what you're saying. And I started thinking about that, and it's like, that's so true, because the human conditioning says if everybody's saying something and this one person's saying something different, well, obviously you got to listen to all the people who are saying the same thing, right? I've always been the contrarian. I like to listen to the guy who sounds like an idiot. Because the only reason he sounds like an idiot is because we don't know any better. So, you know, I felt like an idiot again when we were talking about these drops about a month ago when I got in trouble. Remember when I went off and I was just at $3.40 with XRP? I'm like passionately pleading with my audience saying, listen, guys, there's going to be a big drop that's going to be 30% or more. Nobody's listening. And at this point, I don't give a rat's ass what you say. That's what I said. And it was kind of, I shouldn't have said it the way I said it. But now you see what I was saying. Now we're at that point. XRP's not at 340 anymore. Now we're at 289. You know, my irrational ramblings back then now seem a little clearer that it's down 60 cents a token. But let me say hi to some of you. 103 people in here. That's crazy. A lot of people in here. Even with the red market. Awesome. Thank you, Scarlett, for bringing that out. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod and in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Very trusted mod in here and a admin in the Telegram. Much appreciation for all your hard work. Jesse, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. He says, I'm here, I hear ye. I've been missing out, grabbing a few moments here and there on vacation. Hi, everyone. Oh, enjoy your vacation, Jesse, and be very safe and blessed. It's always nice to be enjoying a nice vacation. Frankie Fresh, Joseph Euler, and Crazy Paul, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. I love it. Thank you all so much for that. Two Ravens, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Jason Whipple, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Says exciting time to be in crypto unless you are a pacemaker. Filled some gaps on and hit some support today. Great opportunity. Let's see what Wave 2 has to offer. I think the tide will be rising. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if it reverses here or it goes down and fills the rest of the way. I'm not so sure, my friend, that it's just going to reverse here. Even if it does, I'm not so sure that it's going to continue. The reason I say that is Bitcoin it's breaking it legitimately down out of a rising wedge. And we've been watching this for ages, it feels like. And I even went all the way back. You can do it slightly different to where you can go from the top. But I think it built it up perfectly. So, I think we got to be a little careful here. Just got to be a little careful here, that's all. Just got to be a little careful. And you put the rising white, you can throw it up there a little higher and start to build it. But I'm looking at that. You know, we needed to hold this area because I widened it big time with the uptrend. And once we fell out of there, I mean, that really does leave a pretty wide gap there. Yeah. So 91K, if it were to break down. So we have, if we want to look at this realistically, a big support area here Let me get rid of it. Well, I drew that out, so let's see if it... It's going to be 106. Well, 110. We're also going to have 106. And you're going to see how quickly, if it starts breaking some of these, what ends up happening. You know, 106. And then, like, everybody talks about the 100K and that. I don't even see anything significant there until you get down to this gap at 91. Like, yeah, we can hold 100K. It's psychological. But I'm looking at real structural support that's been holding. And then after that, if that doesn't hold, you're only a hop, skip, and a jump down to 81,500 area. Like, we got a big breakdown target if this happens. Like, look how big that rising wedge is. It's freaking massive. I know we don't want to acknowledge things like this, but the crazy thing is my technical target for this bull market was 122,186. Built the cup and handle. It did everything we thought it would do. We didn't know it was going to build that handle, but we predicted it, and this is some of our other predictions, how we did it on other tokens that just haven't done the cup and handle yet. They're still building out the cup. But now the 143 is only if it turned that rising wedge into a rising triangle, which it's kind of seems impossible to do that right now, but if it mimics a rising triangle, well, then it can just pop out, but it's going to probably have to expand down first to even do that. Maybe it builds it out to 91 and then it's, I don't know. But a breakdown here would invalidate the move to 143. So remember that. If we break down and you see us under 106, and this looks like it's validating this rising wedge, it's going to invalidate this move. The moment it comes below here at 99, this move is invalidated. It doesn't mean that the inverse head and shoulders now is invalidated, which could make it an even bigger target. Because I argue you could come down to 91. And again, we start to talk about stuff and it's like, well, what can really happen here? And you're like, well, we've got this head. Maybe it does come down there and fill this out. Maybe it goes bang, bang, out. Could you imagine if we did that and cleared out all these areas? Now, that would be the most bullish setup if it did something like that. But that would still call for a massive drop. I'm just trying to build off of what could happen. I'm not saying it will happen. You don't have to be offended. I'm just saying if things played out in this way, what could lead it to a certain level? Well, I think that's what would lead it to a certain level. I'm going to get rid of some of these byproduct numbers. But I like to try to do some real world calculations with the data and understanding of what I have. What the hell happened here? Close enough. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. So we'll see how this exactly plays out. But the fact it's come under and basically is almost to the point of invalidation here, well, on this side of the shoulder, and it's going to create a head, you know, the topping reversal. This is where it gets interesting. This is where the big money's made. Get some validation here, and maybe we can have a stellar reversal at this level. XRP's got this level, and if it don't hold this, it's right at that 288, 289 level. If it loses this, it's down to 278 to 282. Just a range. But 278 is that bona fide support. How many people that never thought it'd come under $3 again? How many times did we hear that for the last 6 months? Alex Carbonelli, David Hoff, and Mike B, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Number 3+ months with the XRP. I mean, your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Thank you, all three of you, and that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. The Gatman, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Number for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. UK Phil in 1970 legend, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. In 1970 legend, thanks for being the most recent mod in my YouTube lives. I really appreciate it on YouTube. Also a Buckeye, starting the season at number 3. Can you believe they put Penn State at number 2? I don't think I've ever seen them that high in the preseason rankings. I was like, holy hell. Anyhow. Ryan Eisenhower, welcome in. What's going on, friend? Momo, I sold my XRP like you said. When should I buy it back? I didn't tell you to sell it. I can't do that. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only. So I certainly didn't tell you to sell it, but if you seen something that resonated with you, I gotta get my son a snack. You want a snacky? You want to take a snacky? Which one? Which one do you want? Which one? Where'd you go, Tommy?
Yeah, but I didn't change up.
Oh, maybe it was, I just didn't see it. You find it? He didn't know what he wanted, but I didn't get all of it. Now, walking,
No.
driving.
It's like almost 6 feet.
Oh.
I might have one back here.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry about that, everybody. I appreciate all of you that stayed. I see we lost 21% of our viewing audience while I was gone. That's not bad. Being a parent's not easy, especially to a special needs child. But if it cost me 21% of my live audience, I guess we weren't much of an audience or fans anyhow. Ben B, welcome in the Cannabis Podcast. And Frankie Fresh, thanks for being in town over 6+ months with the XP Predictors. Check out the Cannabis Podcast. He's got a lot of stuff about the possible rescheduling of marijuana not being a Schedule 1 drug. You know, the reclassification from being a Schedule 1. So I would definitely watch that if you're interested in seeing that. Get it out of the ranks like heroin and all these cocaine, all this other crap, and put it where it belongs. Let's see. Bob Bertner, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bads. And that's on the Cannabis Podcast YouTube channel. A growing audience there indeed. Rashid, welcome in. It have to drop more to go higher. I mean, it kind of feels that way. Kind of feels that way. After I get done talking to all these comments, because we're not too far behind, I'm going to get into the bear flags, that where the targets were at on some of these, and see where we sit right now. Crypto Cooter, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor, being a very trusted mod in here, and also a very important and vital admin who's been putting in a lot of time lately in the Telegram. I greatly appreciate your dedication, my friend. I really do. Dennis Smith, welcome in, and thanks for continuing in Tom's Army, even though it's still your first month. There's 30 days that you will be here at minimum. I like to speak it out every single day. So thank you so much, Dennis, for being in Tom's Army for your first month. Bob Bertner, I appreciate you being here for over 1 year, my friend, with the I Told You So Bad. Man, the time goes by quick. Alec Tony, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Bearded Viking, welcome in, says, hello, everyone. Hope all is well on this red day. And hopefully everything's going well on your end too, my friend. Prayers for the little one that everything's going good today. Hopefully today's a good day. Syrian, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. And also a very trusted mod and here and an admin in the Telegram. Love it. Define Group, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Very trusted mod and here and probably the most vital in the Telegram only because he does so much and is like my understudy. My right-hand man, so to say. Actually a good friend now. Says, hey everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army. Telegram, massive tool to help navigate the space. If you're not in the Telegram, you are missing out big time. Absolutely. But you know, right now, Define, most people won't join right now. Yeah, Bearded Viking, it does. I don't know if you did a second month or not. I can't tell because it doesn't say that you're not part of Tom's Army. But sometimes it won't show it for certain people. So I don't know if you continued or not. You can look on the YouTube page. Where's it at? YouTube. Go to my homepage. And then all you have to do is go to the membership tab. And it'll tell you. Like, I'm 50 months. So that's the most you could be in my army so far as 50 months. And someone is. There's a couple people. But yeah, I have to pay every month just like you guys do. They don't give me it for free. So I got to pay for it. And then I'm paying myself, but I only get so much back because YouTube keeps like, I don't know, 28 or 30%. No, it's not. It used to be a lot more, but they pulled back a little bit as the ad revenue got better. You know, as they were getting more money universally. Let's see. 1970 Legend thinks it's going to go down to 265 or 250 as a buy at 260. Interesting. Definitely a make it or break it. Short term, them necklines getting stretched. They sure are. They're about as stretched as they can get. If they come down farther another couple percent, it's going to invalidate that structure. Could make wider ones, but it definitely invalidates the short term micro narrative. JP Morgan says it won't boom till end of October. He's speaking the same language we've been talking about. It probably, I mean, if it does, every single year when the pumpkins come out is when you can start expecting that last drop. And then by mid-November, it usually does reverse. And but think about it, positioning from the big hedge funds and all the other ones for tax purposes. You know, there's a lot of stuff, tax harvesting that goes on, but, you know, retail doesn't know what tax harvesting is. Out of 112 people here, how many of you have ever even heard the term tax harvesting when it comes to crypto or actual trading in general? So, I like that time frame better. I still see it setting up for Q1 2026 is probably that most important time, but it's leading into that. So I still think just it'll stay true, hopefully, where we're bearish in middle of August and on. September is just oblivious red. Doesn't mean it's got to go down 100%. It just means you got red over red. Not much corrections. And what ends up happening then is you finally hit a bottom, and maybe you do come up 10%, but you've got that red feel there for the whole month. And then by October, it starts to turn the tide. Usually you get one more nice drop around Halloween for some reason. I don't know. We've been used to seeing a drop nicely around Halloween. And then it'll stretch out with some pushes up and then an eventual final bottom sometime in November to mid-November. And then all the way through, not exactly Christmas, because they always make us think we're going to have a Christmas pump and it just dumps. It does it every year. While we're opening presents or watching our kids open presents or whatever we decide to do. And look, it's 222 on Bitcoin. I'm clearly telling the truth because look how long that stayed there, as if it's making us realize the angels are guiding us. Awesome. But that's generally what happens. But it usually dies down my birthday. A couple years now I've noticed on December 17th it hits the ceiling until it comes up to the final push in January. Last year on my birthday, it came to a peak, and then it dumped hard on December 18th. We had a big dump. And then by mid-January, roughly, we're back up to tops on most, or hit their eventual highs, and that we haven't been able to replace since. XRP peaked above it to 360, though. So it actually made a new high since then. But now you can see it as a triple top, if it breaks down. So, there's so much cool stuff happening in these charts. I truly believe we're so very lucky to have each other. And it puts it all in perspective. Bye, Scar. I'll miss you.
See you Thursday.
Our last meal with your sister, Scar, before college. Isn't that weird? Yeah, Michaela's going to college on Saturday. She's officially going down to her dorm. Me and Julie are going to go there for Saturday night. Got to come back Sunday because my son has a GI appointment on Monday. And then on Tuesday, he gets to go to his new elementary for the first time, like in his actual class. And then they start the following Tuesday. He'll be going a full day. Thursday's a half day, but he'll be going a full day now. He's special needs, but they're basically in beta for special needs classrooms right now because they rebuilt the schooling in Clawson. And so he's basically going to be their case study. He actually made it through when there's a lot of demand, you know, like to hold him back and to not let him go forward. And he outshined, thankfully. He superseded what they thought, so now they had to do things for him with the IEPs and all that because he exceeded expectations. I didn't know he was going to just be able to go into the normal kindergarten class this year. So obviously he's got a lot of leeway. But anyhow, it's not important. It is, but it isn't. Road less traveled, welcome. And Nick, good evening, and I'm glad that you are here as well. Road less traveled, the target for IOTA, I mean, it's a long-standing one, over $10, but it's got to have everything go right in the future. You know, and it's going to have to build out these long cup and handle. This is a forward projection that we don't even know how long it's going to take. That's just something that could happen. It's not a guarantee. Anonymous says, stop looking short-term, people. Zoom out, look at the macro. That's what we do. We look at the micro to make the macro view. Because if I only showed the macro, what am I going to do? Come in here and say, oh, it looks great. No, the action's in the micro. You pull into the micro so that you can make advancements in your portfolio. If you haven't made an investment, you always look at the micro to make that macro purchase. Did you hear what I just said? If you're looking macro, you can't just buy it because the macro looks good. You have to dig deeper in the micro. Hey, the macro looks good. It's no big deal if I buy here and it goes 40% because after all, the macro looks great. No, nobody ever said that who gets rich. Only because the retail doesn't have enough money. If it goes down 40%, you're selling out. I guarantee it. 99% of you are selling out, including myself when it gets to a certain point. Nobody ever buys $1,000 worth of stuff and before it starts turning around only has $600 left. Feels good. Hell, why stop there? I put $10,000 in and by the time it turns around I only got $6. No thank you. So you have to look at the micro to get the macro landscape. You look at the macro overall and then you break it down in the micro. I'm a very big fan of the monthly. But I'm an even bigger fan if we're trying to have some action to look at it from the 4-hourly, the weekly, the daily, the hourly, 2-hourly, 4-hourly. I don't really care. It gives you the micro movement. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at pattern setups. Like you can call it the micro if you want. But, you know, the micro builds the macro picture, doesn't it? Each micro moment is actually the macro view. Do we ever think about it a little bit deeper? Like the macro and micro is not so different. Because all of the macros is a bunch of formations from, or a bunch of data from the micros. So every 60 second, every 1 minute, every 3 minute, every 10 minute, every 30 minute, every 60 minute, every 2 hour and 4 hour and daily and weekly and monthly and 6 monthly and yearly. That all formulated the macro. Over a 7-year period, all these minor micro moments is what eventually allowed the macro to form. And once you get a basic understanding of the micro, it tends to run the same formation in the micro that the macro's built. So if the macro is bearish, you start to see I'm topping reversals. Every time you have a big run, you'll see a top. You'll see some kind of head and shoulders. When it's bullish, every single time it drops, for some reason, it starts forming inverse head and shoulders. That's what we're seeing in this landscape. Even though it drops out 40%, in the end, you see it ends up building one big inverse head and shoulders. That's why I'm hopeful that we don't have to go to that 250 range, that this pattern does hold out, and that this can just be a pull down for an inverse right shoulder. That is what I'm hopeful for. So, you know, that's what I'm hopeful for. But I'm also going to cover what can happen if it falls through. I don't want to be left with my dick in my hand after. Say, oh my God, how did this happen? No, I can't do that. You know? So I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know. I just want to know. And in the daily, we've retested the 20-day right now. And we're below. So we've got work to do. In every sense of the word, we've got work to do. And we've talked about this as well. I mean, if you're newer, you're not going to see this as much. I'm going to delete this, but we know the head and shoulders we talked about, right? We know we're going to delete all of this. Because I got to get rid of some of this noise so we can actually see some of this. These were just levels. These were just top areas. I mean, we can still keep those, but... So, now that we have this open, I want to pull out right now the stochastic real quick. Because we know in the monthlies, we were... A couple days ago, a week ago, 2 weeks, when we started looking at this stuff, we definitely got into an area where, you know, we started to get overbought in a big way in the higher time frames. And that can lead to problems. Now, the daily's definitely clearing out now. It's not completely done, but it's definitely cleared out a lot. Remember how overbought it was just a few days ago? The weekly is still way overbought. That's the problem. That weekly is way overbought. That's a problem. You know, at the end of this weekly, if it continues to dump, well, that's going to change a little bit. And the monthly is breaking up into a nice range. Say if we can hold the neutral range. But the weekly is definitely out of whack. That's for sure. 2 hourly is going to end up getting down in these pretty nicely oversold areas. So... this could be a moment, unless it straggles down and this created another bear flag S pattern. Then it would get us down into that 3,941 area. So basically, it comes down to this. If we get some kind of rally here, if it comes up and gets rejected by 4,170, that's awful for the micro. XRP stochastic oversold in the smaller time frames. Fell out of a very important area. But again, if you get into the weekly, we were massively overbought. Now we're starting to correct a little bit. Heading towards the neutral areas. Monthly broke bullish a little bit to start the monthly, but now we're leveling out. Daily, oversold again. 4 hourly is going to be well, maybe working its way back down. Yeah, see, there's still room here. And the micro, there's still room here. Maybe it holds 284.5. I don't know. But there definitely looks to be room here still. Bitcoin falls under 113. All these were getting out of hand though. Bitcoin had double topped in the weekly. We talked about it when it was happening. Now you got to reset. Like this has a lot. If this doesn't just hold in neutral, this has a long way to reset this pattern. Monthly's going to round down a little bit here and try to re-tap at the neutral area. So it does make sense if this does continue. I mean, we fell out of a rising wedge. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have a back test here, even if we're bearish, because Bitcoin or Ethereum is probably lining up a bit. Well, it did come up there once, but 4,170 is going to be the nearest resistance now. Remember earlier today, a couple $100 up? It was that, let's see if we can hold 4,170. Otherwise, if you get below that and there's nothing there, you don't have really anything until 3,993 or 4,006, if you want to call it it. So, I mean, we're getting into a dicey area now. Oh, this is where it's going to get interesting. Another $200 drop here drops alts probably 7 to 10%. Only because of where they're at. They're on a cliff right now. Altcoins are on a cliff in the micro. Macro, fine. But then you ask yourself, how long are we going to keep saying the macro's fine? If the micro goes down too far, it invalidates the macro. See, that's why you have to be careful. It doesn't completely eliminate the macro, but it can make the path a little bit more difficult and more opportunistic. I shared something in the Telegram that I would like to read, and I wish more of you would join Tom's army. But, you know, not everybody can or will. Not everybody, you know, understands what we do. But it's something different. So I said, ironically, you know, only 4 people liked my morning thing, but then when I posted this, a lot more did. Opportunity comes to those who are patient with the proper plan and budget accordingly. It does not come to gamblers nor speculators. The market does not reward those who buy the top down, calling it the dip. It rewards the ones who actually buy the true dip after a healthy correction. Don't be the liquidity like 90% of retail. So ask yourself, in the last 6 months, have you been retail liquidity? Or have you been opportunity seekers? Have you been buying the top down? Or are you buying after healthy corrections? And that means if you bought XRP at $3.30, you're buying the top down. If you bought XRP at $3, the top down. Not as bad, but it's still the top down. You know, that means if with like IOTA you bought it at 25 and now you're just kind of riding it down just because it's IOTA. It doesn't mean it's the top down, it just means you got to have a plan. Like I said, I never heard of somebody who buys in at 50% down. It's like, hey, this is fine. Unless they're trying to convince themselves. So my biggest challenge and my biggest hope here is that we all can figure out unanimously, because then we have that abundance feel, and it's the more unity, the more we have this positive aura, the more we have this perception, the more we have, and you know, perception is reality. So if we stay positive, like I don't think negative when I see the red. In fact, this morning I was all happy. I'm still happy now because it's doing what we're seeing in the charts. That should give you the greatest motivation of all. Even if you're a long-term holder and you're looking at the charts. Oh, I'm trying to see what's going on here. 2 people just parked in front of my house. I don't think the laundromat's still open. But I'll monitor them. But we'll see, because now in the smaller time frames, if we're going to have some kind of reversal so that we can retest the higher levels, I would think now would be the time. I think now would be the time. But anyhow, see what happens here. Let me get to more comments here. Anonymous, welcome. Oh, it says stop looking at the short. AUB, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP predictor. Where was I at? CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. But also the $19.99 donation. Haven't sent any cat food money in a while. Thanks. Hey, I appreciate that. Ghost is going to be living the high life because of you now. I'll buy some nice catnip too. Who are these people? Why would they stop right there? Are they talking? I'm not exactly sure what they're doing right there. That's a weird spot to stop. And the other one will stop? Huh.
I don't think there's anybody in this business.
In the white car? I wonder if it died out or stalled. Could be. Hopefully they don't get towed. 10A, welcome in, and thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. How's ACH looking? Probably as horrible as the rest of these. If I'm being honest. This all looks like hell right now. In the micro. Yeah, I mean, it's falling. If it falls out of this consolidation, that's a problem. It's gonna be a no man's land. If it busts down this pattern, I mean, that would be horrible. It's rough for ACH, for real. It's rough. I mean, either this is the floor right now, or it's going to fall through and it's going to create a big dramatic fall of like 50%. So there's nobody in the white car?
I don't think so.
Huh. Is there more than one person in the black car?
I don't think so. I think it's just the
Yeah, I wonder if they're trying to figure out what's going on with it. Who knows? Mike B, welcome in. Amen as well, my friend. I'm thankful for you, as you said you're thankful for me. Mike B, I appreciate that. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Mr. Towley, welcome in. Mark Caston, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. Anonymous says, I'm only saying Marco so people don't freak out. Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. I see what you're saying. I'm not talking trash. I didn't think you were talking trash. I was just talking. We're all good. We're on the same page, Anonymous. That's exactly why I talk so much, so that I can try to keep people in the right frame of mind. Reports from recent meetings aren't great. Oh boy. Let's see. Who have I missed? I think we're caught up here. Jason Whipple, I appreciate you being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Amp held nicely. Yeah, I mean, eventually Amp's either going to have to do something or it's just going to... That's where we're at right now. But Amp, they could have been worse. Chris Burns says, face it. World is on edge right now. The world's always on edge. I can't name you a time in my 42 years the world wasn't on the edge of a sword for one reason or another. Well, now we're on the edge for a different reason. Because our money, aka currency, ain't worth shit. Because all we did was inflated it to oblivion. And everybody just thinks it's okay. So yeah, the world's on this edge of a sword, but there's ways around it. Maybe wrong, but wonder if Mr. T. Meaty is trying to create peace through crypto, which is why he met with Mr. P. Oh, yeah. Possibly. You never know. You never know. You never know. John Patak, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP589 Moon Badge. And also the $1.99 donation that says, have a great week. You too, my friend. You too. I mean, ACH is down. If we're going to hold this level, it is down on that basic support here now for this pattern. Unless we draw this out farther down, which for the life and for the well-being of AMP, or for this token, maybe we do something like this and give it some grace. Or maybe something like, maybe something like this. Ooh. If you want to cut this down, you could look at it like this more. I mean, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, we got some basic stuff setting up here that the market's definitely going to have to make a big decision here, one way or the other. A big decision. Otherwise, what we just seen today, it's gonna end up emulating again. And I always say it's easier for money to find its way out than find its way in. It really, really is. Let's see. I think that's everything. I don't know anything else that I need to cover here this evening. Oh yeah, the total. So the total crypto market cap's down 3%. And this is all crypto. A nice reversal candle here. We're massively overbought in the weekly and the stochastic, which is not a good sign. At all. At all, actually. Let's see. Let's put in the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, real quick. So we know we're overbought in the weekly. And money is still, I mean, it's still flowing green. It's just dropped down a notch. So we'll see if we do have a correction here in the weekly as far as stochastic is concerned. But we do have a very nice area where we could, in fact, backtest this breakout, even the uptrend. So you could retest up here a little bit around 3 point. I know if you're new, this is going to be so hard to just follow along. I apologize. With repetition comes a lot more understanding, I promise. 3.51 could come down here to 3.38 and still consider that a back test. Suppose. Man, that is... We are massively overbought. We are massively overbought here. But yeah, that's something we're facing right now. And it's pretty big, actually. Trying to figure out what this person's doing. I don't know what they're doing, but they're just parked in a weird spot right now. They got like a, I don't know. But that's the total crypto market cap. You could be back testing here. The total three's at 1 trillion, down about 3% itself. That's everything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we can see we're overbought in a weekly sense, so that's not a surprise. We could be putting in a weekly reversal. We got some immediate underneath support at 976 billion. And then over the top here, if it comes back down to support, you got about 858 billion. And that could be this back test area. You know, this could be an area of concern. So that's something that if we back test, I would look at that. Especially with the weekly being so overbought. We'll see if we have to have a significant dump down here. And then last but not least, the others, that's all of the altcoins minus the top 10. I think it's an inspector for across the street. I really think it's an inspector for, remember how we have the Napa that was across the street? I really think this is I think they're going to do a walkthrough here. I think they're really going to inspect it. Because they were working really hard over here fixing stuff up. So I would be shocked if it's not. That's why I keep looking. I think it's Julie, it might be an inspector for Napa.
Oh, really?
Because look, some of the people just turned into Napa. I think they have an inspector. I think the city sent an inspector out. Remember how they were working real hard to fix it up?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that because he got out in the studio, got all this paperwork, right? That's an inspector.
Is he going in there?
I don't know, but my expectation is he's going to. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so my son's coming out here too, guys. He's ready for me to end this. He's been very patient.
Oh, he's trying to go upside.
The other three's a big reversal as well. We'll see if it can pull back up, but we are overbought in the weeklies. 213 billion would be an appropriate area if we break down. If not, we hold this 265 area and we try to continue on. But we'll continue this discussion. We still have these massively bullish patterns in the macro. It's just the micro we're trying to figure out here. So, I think they're inspecting the building over there because now I see them inspecting. It was either one of two things, so I wanted to make sure that's what it was. You know, I never play it too safe with the kids here, so I was making sure I didn't have to get my weapon out, you know, or something weird. I'm very paranoid, so.